So thanks everyone for joining. I know this has been a long time coming to get everybody in the same room here. But this is really the grand culmination of the Expanding the Canvas project. Awesome. So knowing that David has to drop off shortly, let's start with David and Steph. So maybe if you want to introduce yourselves, and then you guys can tag team with Jason.
I'm Steph. David.
I'm David. Our project is called Violent Disruption. I did the movement and choreography.
I did the music, and together we kind of did the concept. And I suppose the short way of describing it is Violent Disruption is a rave DJ vigilante avatar.
I have a question. How did it feel to transform the image of your body into this avatar?
So it was also an adjustment in seeing, okay, when I move this, how does it look on her, and making sure that she stays sexy and smooth as possible. And again, another element that I hadn't thought about or anticipated going in, but Jason was great, and the entire SIRT team was so great in how they helped us just bring everything together. It was really fascinating. Very, very cool.
All right, so thank you, Steph and David.
Thank you. Loved
it. So if my ears aren't failing me, I think we heard the start of Empire of Wild, so I'll hand it over to Ian to introduce it.
So Empire of Wild is an operatic exploration of a novel by Canadian author Cherie Dimaline, who's a Métis author. I'm also a Métis composer. What we wanted to explore was how could this novel become an opera? And we've been exploring that through a number of different methods and means. But one of the questions that we asked was, how can we incorporate methods or technologies into Indigenous ways of telling story? Yeah, we'll talk more about the technology and all that maybe after we watch the scene.
In terms of choreography, in terms of the movement of the performers, the difference between the stage version, the performance version, and the cinematic version, if you found it limiting, or if you found it to be, if you found there to be more options when you could control the view of the audience.
I would just answer by saying it felt very, very natural on the day and in our rehearsal process to put this together. That kind of response to music, I guess because it's so much tied to the craft that they do as opera singers, they were able to explore some of those the physicalized version of what they would do in a physicalized way with their voice. But also, what I would say was interesting was when we got to those close-up shots to see how big, because they're used to playing in a 2,000-seat house. So how big of a gesture does that need to be when you've got the camera right in the face?
It was very cool, and I wish Julie was here to explain a little bit from her perspective. But we had, on the day of the shooting, we had a number of monitors so that we could see what the camera was shooting. But for the most part, we had them turned away so the performers couldn't see themselves. But near the end, when we were working on some of those close-ups, we turned the monitors to say, this is the frame. This is what we're seeing right now. And it was there was a few moments where I saw in the performance being like, oh, it's just that. Oh, it's only here. Or they're acting with the rest of their bodies. And so it was very cool to see them go through that experience and work with them to say, just I just want the little smirk, or I just need that little moment where you notice him and I see that glimmer in your eye kind of thing. And to sort of see those changes in their performance, or just understanding how it's different medium was very, very fun.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Ian. Go for it, Andrea.
Hi. So I'm a choreographer. So my interest became this question of is it enough to be thinking about dancing to be doing dancing? So in the case of a choreographic score, you could read a dance, and for me, it could be enough to be engaging in a dance through reading. But I wanted to take that further with this project and look at biofeedback data And I had the opportunity to work with Chris Amon at Muse. And Muse is a company that makes these like biofeedback sensing headbands. And so the dancers wore headbands while they were improvising to this audio and text choreographic score. And then from their data with Jason and Mohammed, we created this visualization. And so the figures that we're going to show you are all coming from the data streams from the dancers' brains. We also included heart rate.
I guess I had a question. I mean, okay, so I first of all feel incredibly calm after watching that. So thank you. Is there any conversation between the audience's data, biofeedback, and the performance? Like, will the audience have a Muse headband, and will that impact? Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, this is definitely like a huge piece of the puzzle, and where I'd like to continue the research. I want to create a comparison on some level between audiences or people just listening and thinking about dancing with the data that's coming from the dancers. And we did discover that it's easier to do this with a live stream of data. So there is this possibility now to like have a live performance where audience members' brains are strapped in and their data is like in the mix.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm like super excited about that.
Okay, so thank you, Andrea. Let's move on to our final presenter, Nicole.
My project is entitled Project Hug, and it stands for Harmony, Unity, and Generosity. I was interested in the idea of connection and in a multifaceted way. I was interested in how touch is very healing, not only the power of touching another person, but touching oneself. We do it all the time. We have a headache, we have a stomach ache, we put our hands on our bodies. So I was trying to see how technology, which often can bring us apart, like Twitter, and to see how technology can connect us. I will say that I could not have done this without the extremely incredible expertise of both Jason and Emerson.
I'm just going to jump in. I guess I now got to experience both ends of that piece, you know. I have to say I was just like so moved by the faces I was seeing. Like everybody's like stunning, and it just in this way where they like pull you in, and like I felt like I could really feel them in this like kind of courage of like the intimacy of the camera just like on your face and like letting yourself be seen was like a huge part of it that I felt today, like just this kind of vulnerability that's really there. And I just appreciated that so much. The gestures, they just calm you down. I don't ever touch my chest like to just be like, oh, you know, and it's just these like little reminders to like, I have a body, I'm like in my body, you know, to just like drop and feel grounded. That was totally also happening for me. So yeah, thank you.
And I guess final word over to Chris.
I thank all of you for the efforts that you've made, for the openness, for the willingness to explore and sort of put yourself out there in a place that's really uncomfortable for non-tech people. So, you know, for that to come through, it's wonderful and such a great experience, and I think something that will be of a lot of value to a lot of other peers in the industry in that. So being able to show people what can be done and to not be afraid of the technology if you're not a technology person. So, you know, thank you very much for that. That's really great. And more importantly, hoping to see that this progresses and evolves and goes somewhere, I think will be absolutely wonderful, and sort of that cherry on top of the sundae. So thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bravo.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Congratulations, everyone.
Cheers. Congratulations.
Bye, everyone. Congrats.
Congrats, everybody.